Monster Chop.
You did
a quick one.
You did a quick one last time.
Yeah, that was a quick one today.
I'm not expecting the quick ones. I like the singy ones. Shall we begin by telling everybody what we did last week? Was it last weekend?
Last weekend. What did we do last weekend?
We went to Bloodstock.
Oh, that's right. That happened. Was that last weekend?
Oh,
that feels like years ago.
Or the weekend before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get lost. But it was good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good crack. Yeah, it was excellent crack.
I got sunstroke, I think.
Did you actually?
No, I don't know. I got a headache.
Yeah.
From too much sun on my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was brilliant.
I drank a lot because it was sunny.
It was sunny.
And it got to the end of the day, and I was fine. I was actually like pretty straight, but I counted up the amount of pints that I drank and thought, oh, that was a lot of pints.
it was baking.
Yeah.
It was the thing that, so I don't drink, and I was going to that bar, and it was, I don't know, like 30 million degrees or whatever, bright sunshine in a festival, and going to the bar and saying, have you got any like alcohol-free beer? And they just looked at me and went, got Guinness. I was thinking,
that's not the weather for Guinness, is it?
Renowned, refreshing summer's drink Guinness. I'm looking like stick a lemon on the side and give me a straw. I still had one. It was nice. It was lovely. It was cold. It was nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff there. We saw Amon Amarth.
Yeah, they were great.
We saw
curtain came down, all the lights, lots of banging and fire, and it's good.
When I saw them in the in a stadium tour, it was Motorpoint Arena, I think.
Yeah,
and you can feel the heat. When the curtain comes down. Yeah. The heat is and the smell, like the smell of gasoline,
the smell of Vikings.
It's like whoa, and then they put on such a show.
Yeah.
Remind me hugely. We talked last week about Iron Maiden.
Yeah, very much so. The theatre of it.
Yeah, and Kiss, and they're just a band that put on this. There's obviously thematic stuff in and Vikings and things, and but the show is brilliant.
Yeah.
Really great. It was lovely to see Carcass on in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was little, I first saw Carcass at Leicester Student Union bar, and they had like a live, like a gigging place. They had a place where live bands play.
Yeah.
And Carcass and Bolt
As
Thrower.
all places should have.
Carcass and Bolt Thrower played.
Yeah.
They didn't open the bit where the bands play. They just put like a little bit of tarpaulin in the corner of the student union bar and went,
there you are, lads.
There you go.
Yeah, play there.
Said, there's your stage. And they just got on with it. It was. I just remember it being bonkers. And it's like, I don't know, 50 kids.
Yeah.
Just throwing themselves off the wall, and it was mad.
Yeah.
So to see Carcass, Bloodstock.
Yeah.
Main stage, just having a great time. I love it.
Was excellent.
They described that they used to be described as extreme metal and grindcore and all of this stuff. And I love Jeff Walker describes it as dad rock these days. And he said so the thing is, back then we were all kids, we all like punk rock, and we all had these ideas of like how things should be. You're committed to your causes. And he says now everybody's a dad. Everyone's dads. They've got kids. They've got mortgages.
Yeah.
So no one's got the energy for that anymore. But I love them. I think they're really, they're absolutely great bands. Really cool to see them. What else did we see? I think what else we saw.
Flogging Molly were great.
Flogging Molly, they were such a sing-along band, weren't they? They were like
fun.
You could imagine them. It's really weird. If you'd have told me they would have worked well at Bloodstock, I thought, do you know what? They're kind of a pub, not a pub band, but do you know what I mean? They're a Rock City kind of band where you've got a tight audience and the atmosphere is mega.
Yeah,
they got the whole place bouncing. They were brilliant.
They had a lot of support. I mean, the thing is that the thing I remember the most is the feeling of that festival, because obviously our experiences of festivals for metal is really download, isn't it?
That's true. Yeah,
and it's obviously it's much smaller, it's much tighter, but it has a family thing, and you get the sense that everyone's kind of with each other. That's the thing I got from it. It was really nice.
It was lovely, wasn't it? It was lovely. They were just making me think. Some of the slogans on the back of people's t-shirts, and you just think, oh God, that's you just can't have that. That's not. Do you know what I mean? You get arrested for some of it, and there's a lot of creativity.
Yes,
going on.
Yeah.
Very, very, very cool. I thought very cool thing.
Yeah.
Should we talk about this week's show? Because
we should.
We are a podcast.
We are a podcast about rock.
So we are a podcast.
We are a podcast
about music.
Yeah.
And we do like to talk about iconic rock and metal records.
Albums
and things. It is, and I'm just going to check on my sheet so I get the date right. It coming up. It's the 35th anniversary of Mötley Crüe's Dr. Feelgood.
See, you've thought about this, haven't you? You've planned it. This isn't just a shot in the dark random album. This is aligned with time.
I've done a thing. I was on holiday and I've created a database. I got
that's the most new thing.
I got
just on the beach creating a database.
I got bored. So, and what I wanted, right, was I wanted a database of all of the albums and bands that I care about.
Yeah.
And all of the albums that they released and like who played on them and who produced them and when they were released.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I looked and I've been looking for years for something like this, and there's tons of databases out there, but they're all like the release dates are a bit inaccurate.
Yeah.
Or they've not got the things I want, or that and it just annoyed me. So I thought what I'll do is I'll just write one.
On your holiday,
so
in the middle of your holiday, create a database.
It's like reading a book. It's a bit like reading a book. And I just thought I'll do it. Anyway, I did that. So now what I can do is I can ask the thing and I can just
it is amazing.
I can say, just show me all of the albums that are having an anniversary.
Yeah.
And it does.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And that's how and so we'll probably do a little bit more of this kind of stuff where the albums will be a bit more.
Sorry, I'm laughing because it sounds like I'm ridiculing. I'm not. It's from a place of love and respect. But and we will use this thing forever because it'll be beautiful. Like a lot of the other, you've done amazing things with
brilliant.
it. But it's just the fact that you're on holiday and you write a database on your holiday.
It made me quite happy.
Yeah, no, fine.
You know when you fix, when you fix something. And like,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant. That is.
Yeah.
And then my eldest came and he made fun of me as well. We did a little bit together. But anyway, we're gonna do the Motley Crüe Dr. Feelgood. Now I remember this coming out, and I remember how big an impact it had.
Yeah.
Because Motley Crüe were massive.
Yeah.
And they did. I remember Shout at the Devil and Girls. Were Girls was enormous. I remember that being just the biggest album ever. I had that on vinyl, and I remember I just listened to it over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
it was one of those things where I would like just get in from school and that would go on.
Yeah, wow.
And then I put it on, and it would get to the end of the record, and then I just put it back on again and put it back on again and put it back on again, and I would probably play it like 10 times a night. Just that album. And the bit that's fascinating is that the band themselves were just so strung out. They were so successful at that point. They had so much money. They were all like addicted to all the things.
Yeah.
Completely dysfunctional at this point. And before Dr. Feelgood, and we always do in the blog post that we do, monstershop.uk, to go along with these. There's a bit I write in there which talks about like the bits leading up to this album. Because one of the things I've noticed is that lots of these iconic albums, that none of them just happen. There's always like a catalyst of something that's kind of a lead singer change, or do you know what I mean? There's a thing that changes, and I think for this album, for Dr. Feelgood, that catalyst was the band going to rehab. And listening to some of the interviews from them, it was when I first kind of read about this, I thought, isn't that great that they really wanted to do really well at their jobs. They wanted to be sober. So they did, and that's where my brain went. And then you hear clips of interviews from like Nicky and Tommy, and them saying that we thought we were going to die. So we've been on tour for a year, and it was chaos. It was it was like a tornado of all the things all the time. There was no downtime. There was stories of like drinking contests with Motley Crüe and Guns N' Roses, who were also renowned for, and it just be, do you know what I mean? It just being just this chaotic environment. And they kind of felt that if they didn't pause and sort themselves out, then they wouldn't.
Well, there was. I mean, all the stuff happened with the car crash that killed that other lad, and my understanding of Motley Crüe came from the film. The Dirt, is that what it's called?
Yeah, The Dirt.
and I know films aren't always historically accurate and those sorts of things, but I have no frame of reference for Motley Crüe whatsoever. So I watched that as almost like, what's all the fuss with this stuff? And then you watch it and go, oh, they were crazy. They were really crazy. And actually, the film skips this bit. Really,
it does. It kind of covers it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
but in a brief way. Yeah, it was. It's super weird. Vince went to jail for that. He did 15 days, I think, where he. So there was Vince, absolutely drunk, driving a car, got in a car accident, and killed Razzle from Hanoi Rocks. Nicholas Dingley. And he got charged with vehicular manslaughter for that, which it's fascinating, really. That I mean, Hanoi Rocks were on the brink of being huge at that point, and it obviously killed Razzle, but destroyed the band, destroyed a whole bunch of friendships and stuff that were going on. You also had Nikki Sixx having a heroin overdose. Yeah. He wrote a great biography. I've read 2 biographies from Motley Crüe, and Tommy Lee did one and Nikki Sixx did one, and just like the ones that I read from Guns N' Roses, they are because it's like Duff and Slash did one. They don't.
And there's no correlation.
The big events agree. Well, we were at this thing and we did this thing and we did an album, and the big stuff agrees, but lots of the details don't. And the same is true of this one, and and The Dirt. The
big one for me was the ant thing. With the snorting the ants line of ants. Ozzy. Yeah. Mental. Yeah. There's a little clip. There's a little interview I've got.
But we should play that. The bit that I love about that is that Ozzy's like, I didn't.
I have no recollection whatsoever.
There's so many clips of people claiming that Ozzy did things, and him going, "No, I didn't. I don't know any of that." But he does it with that straight Bromy accent.
Yeah, he does.
It's just kind of like, "Oh, we didn't. It wasn't me." Shall we play a clip of? What's the first one we're going to play?
Yeah, we're going to do that. The line of ants.
The ants. Let's play the ant clip.
Nikki snorted some ants. So Ozzy snorted these ants, but then Ozzy peed on himself and then licked up the pee. So he won.
Mötley Crüe said something about the fact that I snorted a line of ants one time, and I have got absolute no recollection of doing that.
It's just brilliant. It's so good. I wonder how much of his life he can remember and how much he can't, because
he's brilliant.
What a guy.
We've talked about this in the previous shows that we've done, but there's a brilliant bit of Ozzy in the documentary The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2.
Oh, where he's cooking
and it's brilliant. He's cooking like eggs and stuff, and then and they said something like, also and he talks about everyone being drunk all the time, and he said, "Oh, so are you clean now?" And he's going, "Oh, no." and then he's pouring orange juice, but he's missing the glass, so the orange juice pours all over the side, and he's got his frying pan, and he's got his perm, and he's in his dressing gown, and it's just just epic. I've got to talk actually. While we're talking about that, while I'm talking about decline of Western civilization, I've got to go on to our. I'm actually genuinely going to go on to our X. I want to call it Twitter still, but it's called X now.
And this is at Monster Shop Podcast.
At Monster Shop Rock.
Oh, sorry, at Monster Shop Rock.
I we couldn't get the other one, and Elon doesn't allow us to have a particularly long name.
Oh, of course, it's restricted on characters.
So there is Paramount have got a new series called Nothing But a Good Time, the uncensored story of 80s hair metal. It premieres on 17th September on Paramount. On the clip, I'll post it again on Facebook, because I've only posted it on X at the minute, but it's brilliant. It's lots of clips and videos from bands at the 80s, in the 80s. But then like modern takes where the same bands are then interviewed again about what happened and you know the whole thing. It just looks epic. It looks so good. It's if you weren't around then, I know a lot of our looking at the stats of our show, lots of you were. But, for those that weren't, like hair metal in the 80s was. It was
just another world, wasn't it?
Phenomenal.
Obscene.
It was huge.
Everything up to 11. It's the Spinal Tap thing. Everything was up to 11.
But everything was just massive, and everything was okay. But it was like in today's kind of cancel culture, and I guess the culture of society today. There was none of that.
No,
you could do anything you wanted, and they did.
Yeah,
and there was so much money involved, and so the bands were so big. It just caused chaos, didn't it? But I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be really excellent. It's on the book. So there's a book of the same name.
Okay, right.
Is out. It's out of print, I think, but you can still get it. I got my copy off eBay. Still very expensive. Cost me £9 for a paperback.
Yeah,
which made me a bit grumpy. I thought
pre-owned as well.
I'm buying a pre-owned paperback.
Yeah,
£9.
Yeah,
just
did they put free postage on?
No.
Ah.
To pay £2.
No, that's not good, is it?
Anyway, it's a very good book, and I'm just hoping that the Paramount don't ruin it. I'm hoping that the kind of hedonism, I mean, they don't, because you could easily neuter something like this and make it appropriate for today's,
like the Bohemian Rhapsody film.
And I don't want that. I kind of want something that shows me how radically different it was 45 years ago. Right? And I think it's totally acceptable that it wasn't acceptable back then. And I think that's fine. And it shows how we've developed and learned, and I'm sure Motley Crüe have developed and learned, right? or not, maybe. But
there's another few interviews, because there's quite a few interviews this episode.
Yeah, there's some good.
There's some really good ones. Yeah, you got some good ones. And there's a few that I've sort of glued together. Which are them discussing kind of the need to go somewhere else and to be clean and that kind of thing, but also the impact that then had on the band. Shall we
go straight into that, or should we play a tune?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because I would really like to play. In fact, I loved this album, but I'd really like to play "Same Old Situation."
Yeah, okay, let's put that on. Yeah, could we put it on tape?
Put record on.
That's it. Put record on. Put tape on.
Put it on.
We all took a break from like a lot of crazy shit. Everybody was sort of at their peak in drugs and alcohol, and we basically moved to Vancouver to go embark on this amazing new record with everybody feeling good and everybody focused, and it was a really good time. Everybody cleaned up their act, and it was time to make some new music, and there was no way we were going to do it at home. We needed to go away and wake up and eat, live, and breathe music, not, well, I'll get to the studio, I got to take my girlfriend to the hair salon, and then I got to take helicopter flying lessons, and shit, I'm not going to make it today, guys. And we're going to Vancouver, we're moving. We brought our motorcycles, we brought all of our pinball machines, games, toys, and we just set up shop, and we're gonna wake up and make music until we can't see straight and go to sleep, do the same thing over again tomorrow for 6 months.
It worked. It absolutely worked. And, everybody was sober, everybody had clarity. We'd go to work every day and whistle blow. we'd go back to our apartments and hotel rooms and things, and it was a really good, cool, creative time for Motley.
We were a gang. We were a gang like we were on the first record, and it wasn't about the money. We all had so much money we couldn't spend it. It wasn't about the girls, because we all were in relationships, so we weren't out chasing girls. It wasn't about the drugs, because we'd quit doing the drugs and quit drinking, so it was only about the music.
And it was perfect because it rained every single day. There was no, oh, it's nice out, let's go. No, we stayed in and we just worked. And we made a really
we made the best record of our career. It was just all about focus.
It was raw. We were a gang. We spent 8, 12 hours in rehearsal. We hung out afterwards. We hung out before. It was a magical time.
And it's like when you think, they were in this kind of like heyday of kind of hedonism and all that crazy, and you think, there's always that argument of like, oh yeah, but there wouldn't be that band if they weren't like that. Yeah. And then they all straighten out and they all kind of have a good time and focus and all that boring stuff, and then make a banger of a record, and you just think, oh no, the reality of it is actually when you're straight and when you're in a good headspace and you've got a good producer and everyone's clean and everyone's on time and
good.
Everything gets dead good. Yeah.
It's a bit sad, I think, because after this album, they, so this was 1989 for Dr. Feelgood. And then the next one, I might get the date wrong, but the next one was their self-titled. It was Mötley Crüe. I think it was 94. And a few different things happened there. Vince Neil, it was John Corabi, was the singer, and also it was proper grunge, so you were competing with Nirvana, and this music wasn't cool, wasn't selling. So there's so many bands. It's fascinating looking at bands that were kind of big at that tail end of the 80s. I mean, even some of the mega bands. I mean, Metallica went off the rails here. Megadeth went off the rails here. Slayer did some horrific things. I mean, so I don't know. You can kind of see why lots of these kind of hair bands that didn't have to work that hard, but they went from being like top of the world to no one caring in 4 years. And it was a big drop from a fall from grace, I think. But this particular record, I loved that clip in the interview where they're talking about being in Canada, and they're like, it's a full on. They all live in apartments. They have their bikes taken there and pinball machines and all of that stuff, and they kind of live and breathe the record and do nothing else. And that because the weather's so bad, they don't even go outside. And they practice and then hang out together. And I think Six is talking about them being a gang again, just like they were back in the early days. But they've got those skills now, and they've got this big studio, and that that's where this album came from. I still remember my mate was at Leicester. He was at Leicester Uni and I was at Derby, and I can't remember what was it. There was some weird thing happening, some electronics thing, and I really wanted to go. There was a guy there that designed amplifiers, and I really wanted to go and meet him, and he was teaching or speaking or whatever on their campus. So I thought I'll go. I spent the weekend there, and this is the album that I took.
Oh wow!
So I took my CD tucked under my arm. Turned up in the student common room.
It's just amazing how that you've attached the record to that entire experience.
It was absolutely, because that's what we did. I got there. My mate spent the weekend with his girlfriend in there. So they shared a room, and I had his room. And in the common room, I would just play Motley Crüe.
And make databases.
And I did do databases. I don't know. I didn't have those. I don't know whether I must have been able to do databases, but I don't know.
So there's a song on the album, "Kickstart My Heart."
Oh, there's a good clip in the interview about this. I don't know whether we've got it in here, but
it is. That's what I've got.
So the bit that I think the writing credit goes to Six for this, but Mick Mars wrote the intro to it, and I just think it's one of those things, a bit like the Pink Floyd with Claire Torrey, where
where's that line,
because I think for me, Kickstart My Heart without Mick's intro, it's a different song. It's not there. He should have had a writing credit for this. And we'll come on to that after we've had a little listen to it, because I think we can't talk about Motley Crüe without talking about the legal issues and the internal wranglings and how often they've all sued each other. Let's play it.
So we've got an interview first, talking about the making of, if you like, where it came from, then a demo recording of that song. So it's not the on record, it's a demo version. And then it tails off with another little bit of interview afterwards.
Lovely Ghibli.
Kickstart My Heart lyrically, like a lot of our songs, just comes from experience, and I don't know where I came up with that title, but it came out. It just, I think I heard it somewhere in a movie or something, but I was playing guitar, I was in my kitchen on acoustic guitar, and I just started playing this thing, and I remember writing down on a napkin some of the lyrics, and my manager came over later that day, and he said, "What's that?" And I said, "It's this song called Kickstart My Heart." And he goes, "What's it about?" And I played it for him, and he goes, "You have to show the band." And I said, I don't really know if it's quite right for us." And he goes, "You're crazy." And I go, It's more of kind of a punk song that would be similar to our first album, and we're doing these big riffs with Sticky Sweet and Dr. Feelgood." And he got me to show it to the band.
Nicky had come to rehearsal with a few chords. And so we started like working on it and adding parts and taking away parts, as we call it, like cutting the fat off the song.
If it wasn't for Tommy's rhythms, and back to Mick Mars, if it wasn't for the way Mick played guitar, it would just be a ratty punk rock song. It really took the three of us to make it into this big rock anthem, and with Vince's unique vocals is, one of our biggest hits we've ever had.
one of my afterthoughts after the song was nearly done, I said, hey, what do you guys think about this? And I went, bah, bah, you know, that introduction part, they were flipping out. Like, wow, that's really cool. I go, okay, we'll do that.
There was a struggle with management and with the record company where they wanted that to be the first single, and we wanted Dr. Feelgood to be the first single. The song almost like didn't have a shot, you know, it's like almost didn't show it to the band. Then the band didn't want it to be the first song. We thought maybe it would be a good third single or something. I don't think anybody really saw the importance of it. Everyone else saw the importance except for the band of that song.
So something's happened in this show so far.
Yeah.
Where earlier on you said we're going to play a song.
Same old situation, yeah.
Same old situation.
Yeah.
I can't now find where we just had a small break where I've tried to edit that interview in and make it all work.
Yeah.
It sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly had a recollection of going, oh, there was that other song that we were talking about that we were going to play earlier.
Yeah.
And I can't find the bit of the interview of the show, of our show. This is meta. This is a meta section of the show where you dive back in and I can't find it now. So I think we'll have to play it here instead.
Just do it. You can play Same Old Situation anywhere. Always a good time. Let's do it.
Now I used to kind of say this should change.
continuing theme of this show being quite meta,
Yeah.
we've just recorded probably one of the greatest segments that I think we've ever done as a podcast. And we've discovered that there was a dicky cable.
Yeah.
So it didn't record.
So this is a tribute.
This is a tribute to the greatest section
to the greatest section
of podcast that anyone's ever done.
Yeah.
And we've got to do it again now.
This isn't that. This is just a tribute.
This is just a tribute.
Yeah.
Yeah. The headlines of it, were you talking about cramp?
I did. I've started cycling again because I'm getting old and fat, and I wanted to not be old and fat. So I thought if I cycle, I'll be not. And I'm enjoying that. I like cycling, and I've been doing a lot. But what I'm finding is that when at night time, this time, because it's quite late for us. It's what time is it? It's
Thursday.
It's Thursday.
We've done this podcast at weird days these last couple of weeks, haven't we?
23:49.
Yeah, you see, that's late, isn't it? Yeah.
It is for me. My bedtime's 9.
Yeah.
So
I'm a night owl.
You are, aren't you? Yeah. I'm an early morning. I like to write my databases in the morning. But yeah, I'm getting cramp in my foot.
Yeah.
Just like horrific cramp, and so I'll go to bed, and then at about midnight, between midnight and 3, I have to get up either for a wee.
Yeah.
Or because I've got cramp in my foot, and the only way I can get rid of it is kind of almost like hopping around the bedroom. It's just mad.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, there were things I wanted to talk about the album as well.
Yeah.
So we talked about Bob Rock and his impact on this album.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I thought he would have been responsible for with the special guest singers.
Yeah.
Because, you've done this where you've been working with somebody on an album and they've gone and fetched people in to record things and then go, oh, I had someone do this, what do you think?
Yes. Yeah.
But on this one, Dr. Feelgood, the track, Steven Tyler does backing vocals off of Aerosmith.
Just Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler,
nipped in, did a bit.
Slice of Your Pie, Steven Tyler backing vocals. Sticky Sweet, Bryan Adams, Steve Tyler and Jack Blades all doing backing vocals.
Yeah.
She Goes Down is Robin Zander and Rick Nielsen. Cheap Trick. And then Time for Change is basically the Skid Row crew. So it's Sebastian Bach and Skid Row. You don't just get that, do you?
No.
No. I mean, they're in Canada. People aren't just in Canada.
Bryan Adams is.
I bet he lives in LA, didn't he? I bet he didn't live in there, but yeah, it's. I just think it's. I think Bob Rock's impact on this.
Yeah,
I think the way he works. And Nikki Sixx in the interviews talks about how he made them a better band.
Yeah.
And we heard. I remember Def Leppard, Joe Elliott talking about this. With Mutt Lange, and we talked about this with AC/DC. Back in Black. Yeah. That the producer
made them work for it.
Yeah,
really made them work for it.
And they talk about actually, it makes the album better.
Yeah.
But it actually made them a better band. It made them better musicians and better players, and it made the songs better. But it also made them think about how they write songs and how they perform and how, as a player, how they operate. Because, and you hear Mick Mars talking about Bob Rock saying that he just hears things.
Yes.
So he's like, you'll play a part.
Yeah.
And then Bob would say, oh, you caught that with your nail, or that you didn't hit that quite right.
Yeah.
We need to do it again.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, I wouldn't have heard it. It would sounded brilliant to me, and said, but he can hear things and it just pushes you to be more and more perfect. And it's kind of pre-Pro Tools.
Yes.
So, these days I can't imagine that would happen.
No.
They would just clip it in Pro Tools and whatever.
Whereas it was like, no, do a better take.
It's got to be done. Got to be done back to because this was all done to tape. It was A800s. Your Uri compressors, Neve desk, I think. Although I would imagine this wasn't a manual desk in 89.
Yeah, it might have had motor.
I reckon it would have been a motorized desk. It wouldn't have been like totally old school, like the Iron Maiden album and Back in Black that we talked about, which was from 1980.
Yeah. With Fader slaves.
Fader boy. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just think he had a massive impact on this. And not on the band. you know, because then he came back and did the Motley Crüe record after this, the self-titled Motley Crüe record, when they got John Corabi in. And it's interesting because it didn't sound like Motley Crüe.
No,
at that point.
That was the grungy bit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they were trying to fight with battle with grunge.
Yeah, exactly. Because in like they'd gone from being just the biggest band on the planet. This album, Dr. Feelgood, #1 in the Billboard charts. Which didn't happen for like, you know, kind of sleazy rock and roll records, right? You know, Bryan Adams might have had a go at it. Yeah. But your sleazy rock and rollers didn't land #1 albums. So it was phenomenal. And then to go from that to where we ended up in 94, when Nirvana were landing the #1 Billboard charts, and no one cared about, you know, boys with hairspray anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think they were going through some radical changes, and not even Bob Rock could fix that. But what should we play next? What have we got?
So we've got the, you know, pretty much outlining what you were just talking about, but you know, aspects of that, and then the impact that Bob Rock had on the band, basically.
Let's do it.
Bob's a piece of cake. I mean, he knows what he wants in the end, so he'll really push you to do your best performance.
He was Pro Tools of his days. Okay, he would, like, if I played something and I had like a little clink in my string or something, he would hear it. I wouldn't. Nobody else in the world would, but Bob Rock would hear it.
He was hands-on, completely hands-on, and a lot of producers are just kind of like, that's good, that's bad, it's not right. He went in there and he got down with us. We jammed all the time together. It was really cool.
Out of that comes a better band. You know, individually, I watched him push the different band members and felt it myself. And then in the end, you listen to that record and you go, wow, you know, it's the best. It's the best of the best.
So yeah, he worked him.
He did. Slave Driver.
Yeah. But got that record out of him.
He did. And yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal. The impact is just insane. I think it's hard to overstate the impact of that album. I mean, that was, you know, at the time you couldn't go anywhere without seeing a Motley Crüe t-shirt or something just absolutely huge. We're going to play another clip, aren't we, of Tommy talking about the impact of that and how, like, just mind-blowing it was.
Yeah.
The artwork came out exactly the way we wanted it to. I think it was Kevin Brady who we told him we wanted to take the medical staff at the Snake and just make it rock and roll.
It actually is kind of a hodgepodge piece of art because it started as a piece of tattoo art and then ended up being more of a graphic art. But I think in a way that's kind of what's cool about it.
You have no idea how many people have that tattooed on their body. Like, dudes come up to me all the time, dude, check it out. Pull up their back and the fucking whole back is like, you're like, whoa, wow.
I have to say, and I do have lived experience of this.
Yeah.
Seeing your band's artwork tattooed on someone.
Yeah.
It's a bit cool.
A bit mad, isn't it? What have you, is the
some of the single artwork, and, you know, because, I mean, Riding the Low have got some pretty epic artwork.
Yeah, you have had some
on.
wicked stuff done, actually.
Yeah. And people got it all over them. There's one guy that's got, like, it all over his hands.
Really?
Like, full on, yeah. Oh. A lot of the Rambo stuff.
Wow, it's just mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're running out of time a little bit, and there's some things I want to cover off, so this is going to be a little bit random. But I wanted to talk about Tommy Lee going to prison.
Yeah.
As in 1998, he got arrested for spousal abuse against Pamela Anderson, and he actually did 6 months in prison.
Wow.
Which I think is really interesting. There was also off the back of their sex tape. Do you remember that
was the first kind of big one of those things that happened, wasn't it? Yeah.
But I love the fact that, like, these days it's all on phones.
Yeah.
And back then somebody literally stole a physical VHS tape from a
and then copied it.
And I don't know. I think that's bonkers. But so that's there. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit. And I started to have this idea for the blogs as well, but the net worth of the band.
Yeah.
And so Nikki Sixx, his estimated net worth is between $45 and $55 million.
Wow.
Main source is obviously Motley Crüe, but also is in 6am.
Yeah.
But he writes books. He does radio, and he's got business ventures and things. Tommy Lee's worth 70 to 75 million.
Right.
Besides work with Motley Crüe, he's got a successful solo career and has been involved in various musical projects. Public persona, reality TV, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Vince Neil, 50 million. I think he's eaten 30 million. I don't know. Maybe he's got foot cramp and his medicine's really expensive. But yeah, anyway, so Vince is 50 million. Mick Mars, who is listed in my thing as the former guitarist, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. $70 million. Right. Only from his writing credits.
Right, yeah, I could say. Well, I mean, that's a key thing that we'll probably go into, in that, a writer in a band has the potential to earn more money through writing credits more than performers, because you've got two sorts of copyright. You've got the copyright of the recording, which is the performance of it, and you've got the copyright of the song, which is the actual creation of the art. And so many bands fall out over that. It's unbelievable.
And then you've got the combined net worth between $235 and $250 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely incredible, I think. But it's worth mentioning, I think, there that Mick Mars now doesn't play. So Mick got to a point where he could. We've talked about this.
It's like a physical ailment, isn't it?
I forget the name of it. It's like a form of arthritis, which is kind of fusing his back together, which is causes him loads of pain. But I think he's getting to a point where he said, "Look, I'm just too old for the touring." And I don't want to do the physical touring anymore. And I think what he actually wanted to do was to stay in the band and have a touring guitarist.
Yes.
So he would still be in Motley Crüe, but he just wouldn't be
the guy on tour
at all of the shows. So he might come out and do one or two, but basically he didn't want to do all of them. And the band didn't want that, so they kind of kicked him out and brought in John Five.
Yeah.
He was a great guitar player, but he's not Mick Mars. And you talked about this last week, I think, about the way you play an instrument is really personal to you.
Yeah.
So you can be another amazing guitar player, but you're not going to sound like another guitar player. He's going to be slightly different.
There's another interview I want to play now, which discusses exactly this.
So the bit I really wanted to cover was that he then said he didn't want to play anymore. Yeah. And now they're all fighting because they then tried to remove him from the royalties of the album. Or the royalties of the band. So there were things then. So Mick felt like he was being excluded financially for stuff. And then they got into this fight about who was playing live and who wasn't playing live.
Yeah.
And one of Mick's old guitar techs shared on stage footage, real live on stage footage of what people could hear.
Yeah.
And Nicky Sixx was saying that Mick Mars was playing to backing tapes. It wasn't actually him playing.
Yeah.
And so they played this tape to show that it was Mick playing.
Yeah.
And
this wasn't that long ago, was it?
No. And Nicky Sixx was miming.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then there was all this drama about Vince Neil miming because he can't sing very well, so he was kind of miming and had backing tapes. And in the in-ear footage that they released from Mick Mars, it's all done to click.
Yeah.
And bizarrely, someone pointed out that before each song, the click track that they're playing to announces the name of the song.
Wow.
Which is weird, apparently. So normally that's not, you wouldn't normally get that in your ears. And that was done allegedly because Mick couldn't remember
the set list.
The song and the set list.
Yeah.
So now they're all in legal... they're all suing each other again, and they've had such a history of someone leaving and suing everybody over the brand name and the money's behind it. So I just think it's sad. I just think you've all been together for such a long time. Just be nice to each other. There's no need for that, is there? Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Iron Maiden, Paul Di'Anno. There's no beef between them at all, but all the guys in Iron Maiden after Bruce joined were now millionaires.
Yes.
Bruce isn't, so Paul Di'Anno isn't. He had a medical problem, and the band all got together and sorted him out.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just sort it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't be dickheads.
Yep. There we go.
Should we play the clip?
Yep.
What I try to do with my guitar is I try to innovate or show people that a guitar is more than just a 6-string thing that you play. It's a real instrument. Look what you can do with this. I remember seeing Eric Clapton and B.B. King playing together. And so Eric Clapton gets up there and he goes, it's fast ripped. And B.B. King looks up at him and he goes, bang! And the crowd just went, oh, they went nuts. And that's what I'm talking about. It's just like those simple little things like that make a song a song.
And I think we're both very tired now.
Yeah, it's way past bedtime.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you got cramp in your foot?
No.
I have.
No, my brain's not working though. I can feel my brain going, it's too late for doing this.
It's like I don't know what we're doing anymore.
No.
What's going on? And hopefully it's still entertaining.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
We thought we would end the show with a song.
Yeah.
And I would like to suggest that we end with Time for Change.
Nice. Yeah.
Now, this one, as I mentioned earlier, has got loads of backing vocals on it.
And Skid Row.
From the Skid Row boys. And they're all on Sebastian Bach. Sebastian Bach's got one of the greatest voices on the planet. And he's singing around the back of this. It's lovely. I have no idea what we're going to do next.
No. There's quite a few sleeps before we do this again.
There is. I'm kind of feeling the urge to do something. We've not done like Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I want to go like dirty.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seattle-y. I'm kind of feeling that. Or what else could we do?
Let's go there. Let's go to Seattle next time. That's good.
Do you know another band I've been listening to a lot this week?
No.
And that's Extreme.
Extreme.
I like a Nuno Bettencourt.
Yeah, who has probably the greatest name.
It is so
in rock, and he's so good.
He's so good at the guitar, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just brilliant at it.
Yeah.
You watched him play.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
He's just. And there's lots. There's other things as well. I bought myself a treat this week.
Yeah.
I bought myself a vinyl, an original 1992 vinyl copy of Little Angels, Young Gods.
Nice. Yeah.
And I love Little Angels.
Yeah.
So I bought that. And I'm getting to a point now where we're doing these really big albums.
Yeah.
And we always said we would do like the kind of the really big records.
Yeah.
And then every now and then do like a
sneak one in,
a guilty pleasure that it's just like. I mean, like that Little Angels record would probably sold 100,000 copies or something.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the ones we're talking about are like 30, 40 million copies. I love doing the kind of the niche ones that, perhaps not, they're special to us, but not, maybe not to billions of people.
Yeah.
It's like awful when you're trying to build a podcast or brand, isn't it? And you kind of got to appeal to the masses a little bit, but I think we still do some. Yeah,
do some right. Someone's
nuggets, some special little nuggets. What would yours be? What would your nugget be?
Oh, I don't know.
Melancholy. Oh, that was massive, though.
It was massive. Yeah, I don't know really. I'd like to look into something a bit left field though.
Silverchair.
Yeah, actually, Diorama. That'd be a really good one.
That was a little bit niche, wasn't it?
Yeah. That'd be a good one. Or Damien Rice's and I know it's not particularly rocky, but it's just it's an interest in that sort of. That was a monster of an album. It came from out of nowhere. That'd be quite an interesting one to do.
Prodigy.
Yeah.
Fat of the Land.
Yeah.
I've got that on CD.
Have you?
I've been listening to music on CD.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. I've developed this love for it at the minute.
Yeah.
Just going getting an old. Do you know? It's because it's kind of. When you do streaming, it quite often will play music afterwards.
Yeah.
Or the music that you're listening to is the remastered super deluxe version.
Yeah.
And actually, I want the 1992 version that I fell in love with.
Yeah.
That's the version that I fell in love with.
Yeah,
and that's the one I want to listen to.
Yeah.
And there's just something really nice about you. I look in my stack and I think, I'm going to listen to that now.
Yeah.
And you put it in and it's like, I don't know. It feels like it's... don't know what the word is.
There's a nostalgia and a bit of a ritual to it as well, isn't there? It's that sort of thing.
There is.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. There is definitely something about it. I'm convinced it doesn't sound any better. It's not like it's a better thing, but it's like the process of doing it makes you. The connection seems better and stronger, and I enjoy it more.
Yeah.
For no reason whatsoever. And with that, we're going to leave you with some music, and I don't know, I'm sure we'll figure out what to do next. But
it'd be good.
Yeah, let us know.
We've said Prodigy a few times.
Yeah, well, I can't remember why we didn't do it. I'll have to look, do you know what? I'll have to look at the anniversaries list.
Yeah,
we've got a database. I don't know, because there's some big anniversaries coming up. It's like And Justice for All.
Yeah.
That's coming up soon. I think that's 35 years next year.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it?
It is mad. I listened to that on CD today as well. You forget how good that album is. Even with no bass guitar, you forget how it was a really unique album that was. But yeah, there are a few absolute massive albums that I really like Sheer Heart Attack, I think.
The Queen,
is coming up. So there's some lovely ones that are coming up. We'll get together. I'll send you a list.
Yeah, nice.
We'll figure it out. Socials, Monster Shop Rocks on Twitter. We're on Facebook as well. We just call Monster Shop Podcast, I think, on Facebook, and the blog is monstershop.uk. This is the podcast, what you're listening to now. If you are listening to us on a podcast and we've not been utterly shocking,
tell your mates.
Just give us a give us a review, and if you can be bothered, do the tappy taps of stars and things, and it helps way more than you can imagine. Like we're small enough that it really counts and matters to it. So if just one of you does a review to say 5 stars, it's just like, I don't know, it makes our day. Yeah, it's the best thing ever. And come and chat to us on socials. We will respond to you. If you've got a comment or you want to talk about music, we'll talk to you. We have long conversations with people, getting quite a cool community now of like-minded people that just love music, and so join us.
Wicked.
See you next week.
Ta-ra.
I heard some kids telling